But if I stood
Здравейте хора, и днес ще гледаме по-добра версия на Zag Films. Това се казва History или History.
Every winter, my dad used to take me ice fishing on the same frozen lake. He'd drill a hole near the edge and hoist his fishing rod, then ruffle my hair and say, "Don't ever drill your hole near the middle sun. That's how you fall in." I smiled and did like he said, only ever fishing near the edge. But then one summer, Dad simply vanished. I cried for months, and as the years went on, accepted I'd never see him again. But then 20 years later, my 8-year-old son wanted to go fishing. I looked at my dad's old rod I never threw out and picked it up for the first time in 2 decades. I took my son to the same
Чакайте, искам да напиша нещо в коментарите. Както и да е, айде.
Smiling because my best childhood memories were flooding back to me. I told my son, "Your granddad taught me to always drill at the edge, never the middle." I drilled into the ice, showing him how it's done just like my dad showed me. But the second I looked away, my son took off running towards the middle with the ice auger. He was going to drill a hole in the middle. My face dropped in panic as I heard my dad's words. "Don't drill near the middle. That's how you fall in." I stood up to run to my son because I couldn't lose someone else. But that's when he suddenly stopped and pointed at the ice near the middle. "Dad, I see something under the ice." My stomach sank, and when I went over, I saw the shape of a car underneath the ice. An arm was dangling through the open window, and this terrible gut feeling washed over me. I immediately called police with shaking hands, all while my son kept asking what it was. The police towed the car up onto the ice, and I saw the body inside. I couldn't make out who, but I was sweating, and my legs were shaking. But my son just looked around with this curious, excited face, because nobody had told him anything. That's when the cop walked over with a grim expression. "The body belongs to your dad's old co-worker. He went missing the same week your dad disappeared." My legs buckled, and I asked what this meant. The cop looked down and pulled out a sealed bag with a knife. "We found a murder weapon in the car. Your dad's fingerprints were on it. I'm so sorry, but your dad killed this man. It's most likely why he disappeared." I looked at the cop, then at my son's smile vanishing as it hit him. His granddad.
Значи на това дете дядо му е убиец и баща му е убиец.
Was a murderer. My legs gave out and I dropped to the ice. I finally understood why my dad told me to never drill near the middle. Every winter, my...
Бабо, може ли зарядното? Добре, бабо. Да. Нищо за малко да я ударя с възглавницата. Аре бе! Какво става с зарядното бе? Кажи ми какво става бе?
Every winter, I was meeting my girlfriend's parents for the first time when I sat down on their couch and felt my leather pants rip down my butt. I froze. I'd worn leather pants to look fancy, but if I stood up, my whole would be exposed in front of her family. Her dad stared at me, arms crossed, like he already hated me. My girlfriend asked, "What was that noise?" It sounded like a rip. I panicked. That was me. I farted because I'm nervous. Her dad made a stank face at me. Then her mom called out, "Barbecue's ready in 10 minutes." My heart sank. I had 10 minutes to fix this before I had to walk out to the backyard in front of everyone. I knew I needed to get up without anyone seeing my butt, but then my girlfriend said, "Can you go help my mom carry the food out?" Her mom was standing there with a heavy tray, waiting for me. If I said no, I'd look rude, so I panicked. "Let me use the bathroom first." I backed out of the room with my hands behind me, pressed against the wall. As I shuffled down the hall, I caught her dad watching me the whole way. His eyes narrowed like he knew I was up to something. I gulped and shut myself in the bathroom. I had no idea idea what to do. Then I spotted a stapler on the shelf. I started stapling the leather back together as fast as I could, wincing at every click. Then a knock. My girlfriend. What's taking you so long? My mom is waiting. I heard her walk off and stapled faster, my heart beating out of my chest. I was almost done when the door swung open. I realized I never locked it and turned around. It was her dad. I froze, waiting for him to call me out in front of everyone. Instead, he shut the door behind him and smirked. You think a stapler is going to fix that? And he tossed me a pair of his own jeans. I knew the second you sat down, that rip sounded nothing like a fart. I stared at him in shock. I ripped mine at my own wedding. I know how it feels. I changed into his jeans, and when we walked out to the backyard, my girlfriend asked, "What took you so long?" Her dad answered before I could. He looked down at my pants and said, I was giving him some fashion advice. I smiled because ripping my pants got me accepted into the family. I was meeting my girlfriend's parents for the first time. Gary from next door banged on my front door, and when I opened it, he pointed at my porch. That flag has gotta go, cause this is a family neighborhood. I looked between my small rainbow flag and Gary. It's Pride Month, and my best friend just came out, so I'm being supportive. It's staying. He jabbed his finger at me. We'll see about that. By the next morning, Gary had covered his entire house in handmade protest signs, including a banner that said, "Unnatural," in letters 2 feet tall. I got a second flag and put it next to the first one while Gary frowned at me from his porch. This was going to be a long month. Every flag I added, Gary matched with 3 new signs. After a week, his house was completely covered, so he dragged a ladder out of his garage and started nailing things to his roof. His wife appeared in the doorway with her arms crossed. Gary, what in tarnation are you doing up there? You're gonna fall. I ain't gonna fall. Not even 30 seconds later, he fell into his own recycling bin, which tipped over and sent a week's worth of empty beer cans rolling down the driveway and into the street. Gary sat up in the bin and pointed at me across the street. This is all your fault. Take those flags down, or I'm calling the city on you. His wife sighed, looked up at the banner that now said unnatural and wrong due to a sign he had added crooked at the end, and walked back inside without saying a word. I added another flag to my porch. The next day, a city inspector knocked on Gary's door because his own wife had filed a complaint about the signs. The inspector gave Gary 72 hours to take it all down. He worked all afternoon while his wife watched through the one window that was not yet blocked. When he finished and reached for the door handle, it did not open because his wife had changed the locks. There was a note taped to the door that said, "You can come back in when you learn to spell." Gary from next door banged on my front door, and when I opened it, he pointed at my porch. That flag.
Си тъп зарядно.
My friends paid me $20 not to talk to the hottest waitress in the bar. I'd spent 4 years as the great personality friend, while Josh, Logan, and Brad treated my dating life like a group project. That night at O'Malley's, Josh slapped $100 on the table for whoever got the waitress's number. Then Brad slid a 20 toward me. "Just stare at your phone when she gets here. Don't scare her off." My face went hot as the table laughed, but I pushed the bill back. "Relax. I'm already seeing someone." Logan nearly choked on his beer. The imaginary girlfriend again? They waited 45 minutes for her section, fixing their hair and practicing pickup lines, while I sat back and let them keep digging. When we finally got seated, Josh opened another shirt button, Brad flexed against the table, and Logan leaned toward me. "Seriously, don't talk." I kept my eyes on the menu until I heard her voice getting closer, then sat up so fast my knee hit the table. She hurried past us carrying a tray without noticing me. Brad tapped the 20 and laughed. Even she knows not to stop. The old heat climbed back into my face, and for 1 second I wondered if I'd misunderstood which section she was working. Then she returned with our menus, spotted me, and lit up. "Baby!" Before anyone could move, she kissed my cheek and wrapped an arm around my shoulders. Every menu froze in midair. Josh's beer stopped halfway to his mouth, and I bit the inside of my cheek to keep from laughing. "These are the friends who think you can't get a date?" Brad's hand dropped under the table. Logan pointed between us. "You two know each other?" She pulled me closer. "We've been dating 6 months." Josh fumbled his beer onto the table. "But you, and he's," she cut him off, "the sweetest man I've ever dated. I'm the lucky one." The heat finally drained from my face. She kissed me, told me to pick her up at 11, and walked away while nobody touched their drinks. Josh whispered, "6 months?" I picked up Brad's 20, reached across for Josh's 100, and tucked both into my pocket. "Please stop hitting on my imaginary girlfriend." My friends paid me $20 not to talk. I told my little brother to get out of our room because my date was coming over for Netflix and chill. When she came over, I grabbed the remote and quickly turned the TV on because I was nervous. We were about to get freaky deaky when her smile dropped like something was wrong. I asked if everything was okay, but her face twisted and she slapped me so hard my ears started ringing. "You're disgusting, you piece of shit." Before I could say anything, she grabbed her stuff and walked out. I held my face, wondering what the hell just happened. The next morning, I walked into college and her friends shoved me me into a locker while another one threw a drink in my face. You're going to pay for what you did, you nasty bum. I threw my hands up. What are you talking about? What did I do? But they just walked off. The whole college was whispering and staring at me like I'd killed someone. When I got to my locker, I froze. Racist was spray painted across it in big red letters. My hands were shaking. I'd never been a racist or acted that way, so I needed to figure out why everyone suddenly thought I was one. I tried to text her, but she'd already blocked me on everything. When I finally cornered her in the hallway, I begged, "What did I do? I seriously don't understand." She glared at me with pure hatred. "You know what you did. You played that on your TV on purpose to disrespect me." I just stood there because I'd turned the TV on without even looking, and I never saw what was playing behind me. It didn't click until I got home. I walked into my room, and my little brother was sprawled on his bed, cracking up at the TV. I looked at the screen, and my heart sank. South Park was on, and the characters were saying the most racist stuff I'd ever heard. My little brother had been watching it right before she came over, and when I grabbed the remote and turned the TV on, it picked up right where he left off. I was so busy looking at her that I never saw the racist jokes playing on the screen behind me the whole time. She thought I was racist, but that was unfortunate, because I love chocolate baddies more than anything on this planet.
О, добре, достатъчно е, че то се е малко фрики. Ама, Ари, бе! Знаеш ли кой? Аз съм Арито. И ако искате още видеа, дето гледаме още Зак Ди Филмс, напишете в коментарите и айде чао.